So what we're going to be doing today is we'll be wrapping up a little bit of our arrays and our array concept. So we're actually going to be reviewing a PowerPoint, which goes over 19, okay? And it's going to give you some tips and tricks on how to basically solve certain equations, but it's also like little remnants that are used all the time in programming, okay? So here we go. Let me take this real quick, make sure everything looks good. Okay. All right, so here we go. All right, so advanced array concepts. So again, these are things that are built into the array class and the systems class. Now, we are going to learn about the arrays. What's it called? We're going to learn about the arrays class a little bit, which is something that you need to import and you are absolutely 100% allowed to use on the exam. It actually makes things a lot easier, okay? So in general, okay, this is just something simple that I've already gone over with you guys, but just a reminder that whenever you're making an array of objects, don't, so like, let's say right here, circle equals new circle 500. You declared 500 circle objects. And for the time being, they are all null. So if I said circ 117 equals new circle 57.2, how many objects are set to null right now?
499.
499, which means, okay, only one of them, everyone else has been null, okay? Then the other thing that we have is for j equals 0, j is less than 500, j plus plus. Again, the key thing that I see some people doing is they will create a brand new object, circle x equals new circle something, and then circ j equals x. Don't do that. Just use the constructor, okay? You guys have been doing a decent job of that, okay, for the most part, but again, just use the constructor, okay? So what the heck? Okay, there we go. All right, so a couple of other things. So you guys already know how to create, or in terms of arrays and actually comparing items, you guys know that if it's numerical, it's equals equals. Okay, if it's string, you use dot equals or dot compare to, either one works. With objects, no matter what, even if it's not a string or anything like that, you use dot equals. Now, when an object is comparing one to the other, what it's actually looking at when it's doing a comparison, this is important to know. When you're doing an object comparison, it's looking at the parameters. So if the object's parameters that were sent to the constructor are exactly the same as the object's parameters sent to the other constructor, then it is true. The only time that it's false is if the constructors don't match. Remember that, okay? That's a clear shortcut. If the constructors don't match, it's always false, okay? So referencing, okay, this is an important thing with variables, but also with arrays. So let's take a look at this first line that we have here. This int array first, oops. Int array first, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, okay? 5 additional. Then I make int sec. What did I not do to the second array? What did I not do?
Initialize.
I haven't initialized it yet, okay? I haven't given it any value. I haven't matched the size of FRST. But what I did right here is I said SEC equals FRST. Then what I did is sec2 equals 99, but I printed out first 2, and this prints out 99. When this happens, okay, when you have an initialized array and then you have a secondary array that you have not declared and you've set it equal to first, you don't have 2 arrays that are the equal size. You now have 1 array with 2 different names going to it, okay? You have 1 array with 2 different names going to it. Wow, that's really cool. Should be a little better. Okay, again, 1 array with 2 different names going to it, all right? So remember that because they will try to get you on some of the multiple choices. You need to understand what the referencing is, all right? Does anybody have any questions on referencing of arrays? Now, okay, I want you guys to know, this is the same thing with variables. If I said int p equals 6, int k equals p, okay? K and p reference the same number. You basically have given it two reference values. Remember that, okay? You haven't made two variables, you've made two references, okay? Okay, declaring, okay, so this is something, this is a tidbit helpful, but it's not anything you really need to know. When you know how we can do single line initialization of multiple variables of the same type separated by a comma? So we have int array x comma y. This makes both of the variables arrays. But if I said int x array comma y, I have an x array and a y array, okay? Again, little tidbits, okay? These are little just tidbits helpful. This one you're never even gonna run into. You'll never be asked to make two arrays, ever, okay? So, but this is just more of a practice, like just a little bit of help, okay? So now we're actually gonna get into some of the stuff that's extremely useful. So referencing is useful, okay? Understanding this rule is useful. Understanding equals that it's based on the constructor, also helpful. You guys have shown mastery of this, where I want you guys to just use the constructor. For the most part, your class has been doing a great job when it comes to that, okay? But the null, okay, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna talk into things that some of which are going to be on the AP. For example, I told you there's gonna be 4 errors that you're gonna need to know. This is one of them. The null pointer exception. We'll get into it in just a second. So remember that, the null pointer exception, okay? So let's say that I have an array, whether it's numerical, object array, something like that, and I go through and I do about 1,000 lines of code, and I've done with everything that's in that array. I want to keep the array because I may want to use it later, but I want to remove everything out of it, okay? So take a look, int my array equals new at 500, okay? What I can do is I can then, so there's 2 ways that I can do this, okay? I can say my array equals new int 100, okay? So what this basically does, I added this part in, didn't I? Yeah. So my array equals new int 100. Notice what I did. I just reinitialized it. Anything that was in there before, has been overridden. Rather than 500 spaces, you have 100 spaces. But take a look at this right here. My array equals null. So this line right here, so this line starts off at 500. This line says, no, you know what? I don't want it 500. I want it 100. Now remember, let's say you initialize this for 500. It doesn't keep the first 100 values and get rid of the other 400. It deletes everything and just reinitializes at 100, brand new. But this is the one that you need to know. My array equals null. So basically, this is basically the same thing as having it go back to int my array. It's the same thing, okay? It's almost like saying that, okay? So this, basically what this does is it dumps everything, including the initialization. You have a list that's declared, but you're not utilizing pretty much any memory. It's not 500 objects, it's not 100 objects, it's just you got rid of it, you freed up all that memory that you were setting aside. This is where the null pointer exception comes into play. Let's say you forgot that you set it to null and you try to access this, okay? Or you try to just you try to just initialize one of them. You forgot that you did it, you forgot that you got rid of all of this and made it null, and you tried to just say, oh, my array equals 45. Index 45 doesn't exist anymore. No indices exist anymore. And that is where you get the null pointer exception. You're not pointing to anything, okay? You're not pointing to a thing at all. So, okay, kind of weird. So, that being said, that's the null pointer exception. Anybody have any questions regarding that? Yeah, Ben.
If you, where it says my array equals null, if you change that to my array 45 equals null, would it still give you an error?
No. So if you said my array 40, no, because what you're doing is because you're saying a specific index is setting it to null. So that's, for example, like if you were saying int, like if an int array x index 23 in a list of 100 equals 0, you're not really affecting everything else. But if you set that individual one to null, and then, yeah, you wouldn't need null. The null pointer exception would only apply if you basically set everything to null and tried to access a specific index. What you demonstrated was just deleting what was in that string and just making it null, or whatever that object was. Which means if it's a string, you're gonna have to put a new value. If it's a object, you're gonna have to use a new constructor. Does that make sense, Benny?
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Okay, moving on. So system array copy. This was one that really caught the AP off guard because people didn't know about it. Okay, and I got lucky. We taught this, had a lot of students that used this. Literally, there was an AP question. I can't remember if it's 2008, 2009, where you had to copy literally array values from one to another. Okay, now you can do that with a for loop, setting up temporaries, et cetera, and overriding it. But there's a built-in system, there's a built-in method that does this. Now, this method is called system.arrayCopy. Oops. Okay, come here. That one right there. Okay. Now, it also has 5 parameters. Okay, it has 5 parameters. The array that you're copying from, how many of those elements the array you're copying from, starting at which index, to which array you're copying from, starting at which index, and how many elements do you want to bring over. Okay, so from index 1, I want to bring over 3 elements. I want to bring them over to from index 1, starting at the first element. I want to go to index 2, starting at the 5th element, and I want to bring 3 things over from 1. So 5, 6, and 7 will be overwritten. Okay, so let's take a look at an example, which will probably better explain. I have these 2 arrays. A, B, C, D, F, G, H, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. A system.arrayCopy. This is the array I want to copy from, starting at index 1. I want to copy to this array, starting at index 2, and I want to bring over 3 elements, which would be B, C, D. Okay, so starting here, it would be 1, 2, B, C, D, 6, 7, 8. The key thing to understand, guys, is that the value of the array does not change. Or the amount. You're actually overriding values when you do this. Okay?
So every time you call on NN, will it be the same as above, or is it always going to be this new one?
It'll always be this new one. Okay. You're actually overriding the values. Okay? All right. So this is a helpful one as well, even though, so it's helpful in a sense of like some of the questions I may ask on a quiz or on a test. But for the AP, it's not really helpful because they don't test character. Okay, so easy. Okay, from a string array or from a string, you can take every value of a string. Now we've gone over this. You can take every value of a string and put it into a character array using a for loop .char at, correct? You can just cycle through a string .char and just set it into a character array. Or you can create a character array. You have your string and you say ch equals s.to character array. And what this does is it doesn't do the for loop. It's basically all the code that I have you guys do. It has it already in a method and it does it for you. And it puts it individually by each index. A lot easier, okay? Significantly easier. Then it breaks it down into this, A, B, C, D, E. Okay, now, let's say I had an array of characters that I wanted to store store it back inside, okay? So don't worry about this last one. I actually don't teach that one anymore, so we can get rid of that. Okay, but what I can do is I can say, okay, I want this character array. Let's say I had this character array and I wanted to put it into string s. I can say string s equals string dot copy value of and the character array. And basically what that does is it brings everything into one compressed string. Now, if there's spaces in the character array, the spaces come through as well. But it basically puts everything into one nice string for you. It's like a reversal. And again, the tough part is that it's not tested. Like even this, let's say we're returning letters. More than likely, you're going to return a string, not a character. So it kind of throws you off anyway. You're kind of screwed when it comes to that anyway. Okay, but again, very helpful. Okay. Logical size, physical size, we already know. You guys already know that. Okay, the arrays class. So this is where we're going to learn about 3 methods. And the arrays class is something you have to import. Now, when you do import java.util.asterisk, it imports everything. Like, you know, you guys can do .scanner or you can do .arrays. When you do the asterisk, everything gets brought in. And one of those things that get brought in is the arrays class. And the arrays class is, it basically is a bunch of methods designed to work with arrays, specifically just to work with arrays. Okay, so let's take a look at this first one. Easy one. .sort. Okay, arrays.sort, and then you say what's the name of the array that you want to sort, and it sorts it in ascending order. This couldn't be easier, right? Okay, beautiful. And the great thing is it overwrites those values. Okay, it overwrites them. The next one is what we call a binary search. Now, there are times where this is going to work, and there's times where it's not going to work. And some people learn about sort, they learn about binary search, they try to do it all the time. For some things it will work, for some it won't. Now, binary search basically, if you have 2 parameters, you have the array that you're cycling through and what you're looking for. Okay, it's generally numeric. Okay, I haven't checked to see if there's a string one, but it's generally a numerical. It's for integers. Now, the key thing for a binary search to work is the array must be sorted first. Okay, whether you do that with a for loop or whether you do that using arrays.sort. Binary search, the array must be sorted first to properly work. So then what you do is arrays.binary search, name of the array, what you're looking for. If it is there, it returns the index. If it is not anywhere in the list, it returns a -1. Now, Isis, why would it be appropriate to return a -1?
Because it's not in the array.
But why -1?
Oh,
Expand upon it a little bit. Why would it make sense to use a negative number?
because there can't be a negative index?
Bingo. I know it's early, but good job. Okay, that's exactly right. We can't have negative indices, so -1 is the more appropriate number to use. This again, let me repeat, it returns the index. Now let's say you have multiples, okay? It returns the first index in which it encounters it, okay? Now, could you use this to count how many times there is? Yeah, you could, okay? But, you know, just going off that, just giving you guys a heads up, the easiest way is like if you're looking for one number, it's the easiest way to do it. Okay, testing for the equality of 2 arrays. Okay, arrays.equals. So you have 2 arrays and you want to see if they match each other. You can either use a for loop and test to see if they match, or you can say arrays.equals x comma y. Which one makes more sense? This one, especially if you're going to compare. The one thing that you have to do is if you're going to use this, you do have to make sure that you're showing your imports. Okay, especially on the AP. the reader will take a look and see that the appropriate import was done. Okay, or if even on the AP, you will get you don't even have to import, you can just put a comment code that says I have imported the arrays class. That tells us, okay, somewhere else you knew what you were doing. You're not just pulling this out of your butt. Okay. And then last, okay, is fill. Now I've told you guys just fill these with zeros, and you go through, okay, here's an array of 100 numbers, go through guys, fill all of them with zeros. By default, what have we been doing? In j equals 0, j is less than array.length, j plus plus, j index p equals 0, and just filled it through, right? It's a lot easier to just say arrays.fill and then the name of the array and what you want to fill it with. One line as opposed to a for loop. Toger's got that smile on his face. These are little tips and tricks that will help you that you are absolutely allowed to use. The only thing that you have to do is you have to give me notification that you've imported the proper class. That's it.
Even on your test, right?
On the test, on the quiz, anything, yeah. Okay. Unless I say something like assume all imports for any classes are imported. That's basically giving you the thumbs up, okay, I know you probably might use the arrays class, okay? All right, does anybody have any questions? Now, I'm gonna be doing a review session tonight on inheritance, okay? So here is your homework for tonight, okay? So I was going to have you guys try to just do this ahead of time, but I didn't think it was good. I even let B Block have the weekend off, and they just got their homework assigned today as well. So you guys will have this. You guys will have this to do. And again, this isn't long. This should only take you probably a few minutes to do. Okay. And other than that, anybody have any questions? Now I'm thinking I'm possibly going to upload this PowerPoint with the assignment. How many of you guys would like me to do that? Okay. Again, this is in chapter 19 of your book, but I just broke it down just into slide by slide. It does help. So I will upload this for you as well. Okay. All right. Does anybody have any questions? We have the time. Does anybody have any questions?
What time are you planning on doing the review session today?
Probably like 7:30.
Okay.
And again, it's just a review of inheritance. If I don't do it, my plan, because I want to finish up the tests. I'm behind. I need to finish up I can tell you this, we're not having a test this week. We are not going to have a test this week. Okay. There's a couple of things that I thought I was going to have the time to do, and I'm not. Okay. So the test will be after Thanksgiving. Okay. I will give you some reading for you to do though. It's funny reading. It's a good book. It's in that book. I don't know if I already uploaded it. Head First Java.
Yeah.
Objects. Did I upload it?
You uploaded it.
Yeah. It should be on the portal. It's called Head First Java. And that book is hilarious. And they do a great job of explaining objects and inheritance. So I'm going to have you guys read that. Okay. So, and it's light reading. Okay. And it's like, I want to say, if I assign you 25 pages, I can see you guys literally finishing the 25 pages within a day. Because it's an easy read the way that they make it. It's not boring at all. It's actually pretty good. Okay. So that being said, that's your homework assignment. I'm going to upload this right now to the portal, and I will upload my PowerPoint as well. Okay. All right. Anybody have any questions before we go?
Next week you're aware that we have those sessions. Are you doing that?
What's that?
You have those office hour days. Are you on for that?
So here's the thing. If you want me to, I can. How many of you would want me to do the office hours? Okay. Tell you what. Monday, I'm all yours. Tuesday, I will be driving to Tahoe. So I probably will not be available Tuesday. I could be available Tuesday night, But Monday, I'm all yours. I don't care if we go 2, 3, 4 hours. But can we do it in the evening, or do you prefer the class time?
I don't even know when the class times are. They didn't tell us. It's
I mean,
just
well, it's just they basically treat it like as if it's your normal class, like it's that block.
Okay.
So I think it's
no.
something like 1 to 1. It's like that 1:15 to 2:05 is ours. So if you guys are okay, I'll hold mine in the evening. Okay. And again, we can go over everything. All right. Sound good?
Sounds great.
All right, your assignment is online. What I'm going to do is I'm going to attach the PowerPoint to the assignment, okay? And I'm going to upload this recording for the international students. So I will see you guys later. Do I have you guys tomorrow? Yeah, I have both of you guys tomorrow, okay? Tomorrow we're going to get into, tomorrow we're going to be starting off. We're not going to be doing a quiz. We will have a quiz on Wednesday, but tomorrow is basically, put it this way, it's like programming day. And I will be breaking you guys off into groups. Okay? All right. Take care, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.